This is nothing but controversy. Four guys on a podcast and we're talking about sports. Four guys on a podcast and we're talking about sports. Nothing but controversy with Matt, Dawson, Cam, and Shayner.
What's up, guys? We're back here with Ashton, Miller-Melancon for another episode of More Controversy. Ashton, first off, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we're gonna kind of talk about you being the guy in Canada who got the most offers from universities playing football. So I'm gonna give you the floor here. Kind of tell us how you got started playing football at a young age and where it's led you to throughout the whole process.
Yeah, so growing up, I was a soccer player, like all kids are. And then when my stepdad came into my life, he was a big football fan, and then him and my father really pushed my mom to try to let me play football. And it took a few years of convincing, but when I think it was 9 years old, I played my first game for the Lakeshore Cougars, and I played there for about 8 or 9 years until 8 or 9 good years, and then moved to North Shore for my midget season. And then after 1 year there, I went to Abbott for 2 years, and now I'm at Queens.
Lakeshore football.
We had some good years. We had a couple good years in there.
You did until the end there when you had to go over to the Mustangs. What would you say was kind of the biggest difference in the North Shore organization opposed to the Lakeshore?
I'd say just the actual organization of the team. At Lakeshore, it was a small amount of kids, so small amount of kids and small amount of coaches. So it really was kind of dysfunctional and disorganized. I had to be the DB coach as a DB sometimes. So that right there should tell you all you need to know. And then at North Shore, it was more structured. There was more coaches, more players, and more faith, because North Shore has a reputation of winning. Back in my last couple of years of Lakeshore, we would go 2-8, 1-9 every season. So the morale was quite low. So it was nice to get a change of scenery and to just be in a more winning environment.
And you went from the Mustangs to CJEP. A lot of our listeners don't really know what CJEP is because they're not from Quebec. So CJEP, we don't really have grade 12. So we go to CJEP before university. So what was that recruiting process, and how did you end up at Abbott after the Mustangs?
Yeah, so after the Mustangs, I got really recruited by like the two most notable English CJEPs in like the West, or in the heart of Montreal, Vanier and John Abbott. And I weighed between Abbott and Vanier for a good couple months, and then I decided I'd commit to Vanier. So I went there, did pre-camp, a bit of training camp there, but things didn't really work out. And it sucks, but things like that happen, and sometimes it could be blessings in disguise. So then when Vanier fell through, I went to John Abbott and earned a starting spot within the first couple weeks, and ended up having a really good season, winning Rookie of the Year for the team, Rookie of the Year for the school, and bringing home a Bull Door, which we haven't done in 17 years. So that was awesome.
You kind of said it could have been a blessing in disguise. Do you think your journey in football goes any different if you stay at Vanier?
I think so,
You stay where
honestly.
you are?
I think so because I felt like I had more opportunity at Abbott. And so had I stayed at Vanier and maybe not had the opportunities that I was given at Abbott, then I wouldn't have had as much playing time, wouldn't have maybe had as much highlights, or been as notable, made such an impact. And then 2020 was the COVID year. So if I hadn't gone to Abbott in 2019 and played well and had very minimal highlights at Vanier in 2019, and then COVID year 2020, I'd still be in CJEP right now, probably trying to get recruited as like a fourth year. So I think things could have turned out really different.
There you go. So out of Abbott, we touched on it before, you having the most offers in Canada. How
Yeah.
many offers did you have, and who were the biggest schools you got them from?
Well, Canadian offers, let me just check my notes real quick, but I think it was about 16 or 17 Canadian offers. And then I had three NCAA offers as well, two Division One and one Division Two. So like the biggest U Sports offers that I got, or the most notable ones. I mean, I got Calgary, I got Western, I got Queens. I got I got an offer from a school in every single division or every single conference in U Sports. So a lot of good teams.
So why did you choose why did you choose staying in Canada over going to the States?
It really came down to finances because the conferences that offered me, especially the Division One ones, were ones that were kind of ran like the Ivy League, so they couldn't give athletic scholarships. So if I would have attended, it would have been large out of pocket expense for myself and my family, and I just thought it wasn't worth it at that point, especially because it was FCS.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, schools in the States are a lot more expensive than they are in Canada. It's
Yeah,
absolutely ridiculous.
yeah,
Um, Obviously you chose Queens
yeah.
over the other 17 schools or 16, 17 schools you were talking about. What set Queens apart in the recruiting process that made you say, "Hey, I wanna go there for the next 3 to 4 years of my life"?
Yeah, well, Queens was actually the first school that talked to me. They talked to me after a playoff game in 2019. So they were on me really early, like 6 months before any other school. So I had time to establish a relationship with them in that time. And then during my recruiting process with other schools, Queens would always check up on me. I do one-on-one individual meetings with the DB coach, Coach Dandria, and we just watch film. We'd break down the systems and the plays, and just I became really comfortable with their system and with the defensive schemes. And then with the coaches, I'd have one-on-ones with the receiver coach and just group talks with all the coaches. So I really developed a good connection with them. And then I didn't get to visit because of COVID. I didn't get to go on any visits. So really, I based my decision off of the academics of the school, where I believe the football program was heading, the culture that was there, and then my relationship with the coaches. And for Queens, like I said, I had a great relationship with the coaches. Their academics speak for themselves. And then I bought in and believed that, the team was on the right path, a path like where we could win a Yates Cup, where we could really make a difference and really be a factor in the OUA. And it seems like it's going well right now.
Yeah, you guys are playing well out there for now, and hopefully that continues for you. Like we said before, CJEP is kind of a thing you have to go to if you want to go to university in Quebec. What was the difference that you saw in the recruiting process from, like, let's say Abbott to Queens? Like, how did Abbott come after you, and then how did Queens come after you? What was the difference you saw?
Yeah, well, for the CJEPs, I feel like it was more low key. Like they gave interest, but it wasn't like a full out like text me all the time type of thing and like really bring me out. They kind of left the ball in my court and left me to make like a decision based off of my research and my merit and like talks with my parents, stuff like that. So like obviously the coaches, Coach Pat at Abbott, Coach Peter Vanier were factors, but they really kind of left the ball in my court and allowed me to figure things out myself, which was a big difference because for university, the coaches, always texting me out because it's such a difference between CEGEP and university. It's such a bigger institution, it's such a bigger decision, right? Because you got to move away from home and all that. So they were more instrumental. They really talked to me more. They gave me more information, and just like I said, I built more connections with them than I would have with the coaches recruiting me out of Mustangs.
So we see a lot of coaches kind of change schools every year. Is it something that you were kind of worried about, that maybe your DB coach got picked up somewhere else after you committed, or?
Honestly, no. The way the talks with the coaches went, it was like everyone was bought in, everyone was together. The coaching staff is pretty new coaching staff. The whole staff has only been together for about 3 years now, I want to say. So yeah, everyone was pretty new. Everyone came together and like everyone bought in. And the message that they talked to me about was that they're all bought in and they just wanted me to hop aboard. So it actually never even crossed my mind that one of the coaches could leave or something like that. I just believed that they would be there the whole time.
And did you go in kind of blind, or did you have teammates telling you, like ex teammates telling you that are at Queens, what it's like, or did you have nobody that you could look to when you needed something?
Well, I talked to one of my former teammates, Doug Mayhew from Abbott, that's at Queens, and he gave me a bit of insight. But like I said, not being able to visit, not be, like the first time I went to Queens was actually 3 months after I committed. I went in July for a weekend practice. So I kind of came in a little bit blind, but like I said, I was familiar with the systems and like the schemes and stuff. So football wise, I came in like with good head on my shoulders, some good knowledge, but just with information about Kingston, I had no idea. The first time I went to Kingston, I was confused. I didn't really know much. I didn't really know much.
Yeah, Kingston is not exactly a place many Quebec people know what's going on. And for this decision, did you have your family by your side the whole way? Was it kind of you do that, or did you talk to your family, even your friends? Did you have friends that were in your corner, or what did you have?
Yeah, so my family was the big one. My stepdad and my mom hopped on most of the calls with because I would do one-on-one calls and I do big group calls with a lot of like my top schools, so like Queens, Western, Calgary, UBC, like those four. My parents were always there for the schools I was really serious about, and they always asked questions, they always took notes, they always really went the extra mile to really get all the information that I may have not realized I needed to get and stuff like that. So they were huge. And then after every meeting, they talked to me, asked me how I felt about it, give me their insights. But they always said that the decision was up to me, but that they just wanted to provide the most information and the most input possible. And then my friends also played an impact because I knew like my parents' thoughts, and then I had my thoughts, and I just wanted to get input from others as well. Just I don't really know why, but I felt like it was necessary just to hear a different perspective from people outside of my family and just people that are a bit further from the situation, just to see what their thoughts were.
So was Queens always it, or was it kind of like your friends and your family helped you push it towards that? Was it
I
like
think,
Queens was your number one from the start, and then your friends and family were kind of hopped on that too, or
I think personally, I think Queens was subconsciously always my number one. As soon as I talked to them, I got excited. Like when in 2019 when they first talked to me, and then our conversations were always great. But I didn't want to just focus in and be like the first school that talked to me is the school I want to go to. I wanted to keep the options open, and that's why I spent so much time in my recruiting process and committed so late because I wanted to give every school that I talked to a chance. And like I developed a real liking for other schools, but deep down I always knew it was Queens. And then when I made that final decision, it just felt like a huge weight off my shoulders, and that I made the right decision.
so now that you're there, is it does it feel like the right choice? Like the football, like the success aside, the way the football team, the practices go, the way you guys are as a team, does it feel like the message they were giving you in the recruiting process was that the message that's displayed in the locker room and everything?
No, absolutely. It was always like a team first mentality. It was always buy into the culture, and that's a big thing. That's a big thing that we implement here at Queens. Like the culture is number one. Our the first goal of our team is to be the most respected team on in the community and on campus. So like our coach really tries every day to instill that culture of respect and that culture of improving every day and that culture of team first and having grit and winning games. So everything that I've seen so far, football wise, and from the coaching staff, has been exactly what they've preached, and that's really nice to see.
I mean, we hear so often that people who commit, it's not what they were told was going to happen. So it's definitely good knowing you from back home. It's good to see that you're having fun. It's successful out there. Now let's talk about the football stuff, the on the field. Talk to me about training camp. You went in, obviously your first year. Not many first years start. So now you're sitting here, you're a starter on the team. Tell me how training camp went and how you kind of fought for that job.
Yeah, so training camp was long. It was only usually training camp I think is a few weeks. This year because of COVID, everything got condensed, so it was only 5 days. But those 5 days were long. It was 8 to 8 every day, early mornings, late nights, because you got to go home, watch film, and correct what you messed up on the previous day. But all in all, it was a fun experience. We'd have 2 a day practices, and we'd have team dinners, team lunches, uh, long team meetings, but it was all for like a common goal. It was all to improve as a team, right? So if you were bought in, then I think you really enjoyed it because you just wanted to improve. You wanted to see what you were messing up on. You wanted to compete, and that was a big thing with training camp. gave everyone from team 1 to team 4 an opportunity to go out there and compete and to show what they could do. Because heading into training camp, I was actually team 3, and then I had just as a rookie, I came in. You don't expect to be put team 1, team 2, but I came in and made some plays, had good opportunities to showcase my skills, and that allowed me to elevate both on the special teams depth chart and on the defensive depth chart.
Was there ever a time where you were kind of scared that uh, they were going to overlook you? Like they had their guys already, and you weren't going to get a chance.
Not really, I'd say, because the defensive back unit, especially, were a lot of young guys. There's only a couple guys that are in there. There's two guys that are in, one guy in their fourth year, one guy in his sixth year. So besides that, it's a really young group, really, unproven group. So I knew, and then we have a bunch of ballers. So I knew that it was just going to be a competition every day between the young guys just to earn their spot. But I never felt like I was overlooked. I always felt like if I wasn't on team 1 or wasn't on team 2, I just needed to work harder. It wasn't from the coaches. It was on me just to work harder and make more plays and get better.
And obviously, growing up, there's not really, no team has four four teams. Like Lakeshore Mustangs don't have that. So now in university, do you feel an added sense of pressure as you're the starting? You're starting. Do you feel like there's someone breathing down your neck all the time, or do you feel not comfortable because no one's ever really comfortable in their starting spot? But do you feel like you got someone right there with you, or do you feel like you have some room?
No, I definitely feel like there's someone right there with me. What we preach and have been preaching this whole time is competition, competition. Because if the team 2s and team 3s aren't competing, then the team 1s are going to get complacent, and complacency is what's going to kill you in a game, right? So, no, we have a bunch of great players, and then like just because what our coaches say is just because you're a starter one week doesn't mean you're going to be a starter the next week. So nothing's ever guaranteed. So you have to just go out there and play your best football every practice, every day, because the guy right behind you is going to play his best football and have his best practice. So there's always that sense of pressure to go out there and perform the best possible. But that there's no other way I'd want it to be. Like that's how you improve as a team. That's how you get better. So I'm thankful for it.
On the playbook, obviously, I'm not asking you to reveal any of your plays, but was it a lot harder to grasp than, let's say, a CJET playbook or a civil football?
Yeah, comparing it to a civil football, it's like rocket science. But comparing it to a CJEP playbook, the CJEP transition football wise, like playing CJEP and then going to university, I think really helped because the playbook and a lot of the concepts that we run at Queens are things that I was already familiar with at Abbott. So coming in, I already had a pretty good head on my shoulders, especially compared to the younger guys coming from high schools in BC and Ontario and stuff like that. So I felt like I had a pretty good knowledge of like especially the defensive back schemes heading in. So that was a big advantage.
So you'd say CJEP kind of puts you above the other guys?
I believe so when it comes to just understanding schemes, just because of the complexity of the coaching and the implementation of the plays in CJEP. Just because it's also a older demographic, right? CJEP, it's 18 to 21-year-olds, whereas the high school across the rest of the country goes up to about 17, 18, and then it's done. So that it's the plays that they implement and the structures that they use aren't as complicated as what we implemented at CJEP.
All right, we're getting down kind of to the end of the interview. I just have two more questions. Uh, I'm just going to give you the floor. I'm not going to really step in here, but any tips you might have to help a CJEP student, whether it be just in the classroom or as an athlete trying to get to university, anything you could say to them that you think might help them?
Yeah, well, first, as a student, just the biggest thing is make sure you go to class, make sure you pay attention. And I know this sounds corny because the coaches are going to say it all the time, but try to sit in the front, try to not sit in the back because it's proven sitting in the back, you're going to get more distracted. You're not going to feel as engaged. Whereas, like in CJEP and even in uni right now, I sit in like one of the first 4 rows, and I really feel like I'm grasping the information. I really feel like I'm not going to say I'm at an advantage, but I just feel like I'm getting understanding the information more just because I'm interacting more. I'm closer. I feel like I'm more in the class than I would if I was in the back. And yeah, just stay focused on your academics because academics is what's going to get you into the schools, right? If you want to go to a school that has a high academic standard and your academics aren't there, but your football's there, then there's a chance that you're not going to make it. So focus on school just as much as you focus on football, if not more, because those two are the pillars if you want to head to university. And then just as a student athlete, if you want to, go to school, whether it be NCAA, whether it be a U Sport school, just make sure you put yourself out there. Like follow. I recommend creating a Twitter account because I didn't have one for the longest time. But then once I created one, that's when I started really getting into contact with a lot of U Sports and NCAA coaches. So my first thing I'd say is to create that, and then the second thing would be follow the coaches, message them, put yourself out there, send them a highlight tape, send them your measurables, give them your coach's contact info so they can talk to them as well. Because once you put yourself out there, like there's a definite chance that you're going to get interest, you're going to get an opportunity to go play at the next level. Whereas if you're not actively putting yourself out there and hoping for them to come find you, the odds that you get noticed and that you get that opportunity are very, very low. So that's what I'd say.
There you have it. Don't just rely on your talent. You got to get out there. And last question I have is kind of a question we ask everybody. Has nothing to do with anything we talk about right now. So if you were on a deserted island and you had nothing, you could only bring three things. Can't be food. It can't be like your family or whatever. What are those three things that you're bringing to that island?
The deserted island has no electricity, right? I just want
No.
to get that.
But like people have said they bring their iPad. Like you could say that.
Okay, well, I bring deserted island. God damn. I bring a football because, I'm that corny football player that brings the football with him. I'd bring I'd bring duct tape because no. I see the look on your face, but
Oh
I'm on
man.
a deserted island. Duct tape can do a lot. I
What are
can
you
use the
gonna
duct
do with duct tape?
I can gather a bunch of logs and a bunch of bundles of sticks, duct tape, and create a little raft, and I can get out of there.
Okay,
I'm
fair
thinking as
enough.
a survivor man. Survivor man.
Okay.
Deserted islands, yeah. Football for hanging out, and just having a good time. The duct tape so I can escape the island, and then you want to have like a flint or something so you can create a fire. I'm really thinking as a survivalist here. These are the best things you're gonna hear.
You know what? Yeah, you thought about this. We had David Sanchez on here, and he said he was gonna bring Vaseline for his lips. Like I don't know, I don't know where he pulled that one out, but anyways, that does it for our interview with Ashton. Thank you once again, Ashton. Thanks for joining us. I'm sure you got plenty more interviews as Canada's #1 recruit. So thanks for doing this, and hopefully you'll be back sometime soon.
Hopefully, thank you for having me again. I really appreciated this.
All right, man. Good luck with the rest of the season.
Thank you.